Hey guys, I'm Brett Kreger. I'm the managing broker in Oklahoma City, and today I wanted to talk with you about following up with the for sale by owner. What are we saying? What questions are we asking? How long do we need to do it? And all of those questions. Important to understand when you're following up, you're just touching base with that for sale by owner. They need to know that you're still alive, that you're still interested, that you're following up, and that you can help them. So you need to pick up the conversation right where you left off. If you were talking about maybe them doing an open house this week, ask them how the open house went. If they had told you they had a buyer that was maybe interested, ask them how that buyer is going. If they told you that little Timmy has a baseball game that they have to rush to, ask them how little Timmy's baseball game went. Build rapport and pick up right where you left the conversation off if you can. If not, maybe it was a really dry conversation and they were difficult to speak with, then skip where you left off and just go straight back into where you build rapport. So we want to pick up where we left off, and then we want to make sure the home is still available. That's the main reason we're really calling, right? In their mind is, I'm telling all my buyers about it. It's in the key list app. I need to make sure you haven't sold that property so I don't tell another buyer about it and then find out that it's already sold. So we're going to pick up where we left off, make sure it's still available. We're going to continue to build on our rapport. We're going to talk about the commonality, talk about the knowledge that we provided last time, and continue to build on that rapport. Have a conversation as much as possible because they have to like you, and they have to not think you're an idiot, right? Those are the two things they have to do in order to want to work with you. And then on every single follow-up, we want to ask the three questions, the same three questions that we asked during the meeting, we want to ask during the follow-up, right? Because what we're doing is we're planting a seed of doubt in their head. And every time we ask them these questions, we're watering that seed, and eventually a listing is going to grow out of the ground, right? And that's what we're trying to do. So we ask the three questions. Hey, Mr. Seller, it's been a week since we spoke. How much traffic have you gotten in the past week? They're going to say none or a bunch. And I'm going to say, okay, great. Have you guys gotten any constructive feedback? What have the buyers been saying? They're going to say they love it or they hate it. Okay, have you guys written any offers? No. Okay, great. And as they start to have that repetition of answering those questions over and over again, you can kind of start to drive it in their head. You haven't had traffic in 3 weeks, or you haven't had traffic. We had a ton of traffic down the street at our listing. Why do you think no one came to your house? Or you had a bunch of people through and no one gave you any feedback? What do you think? Why do you think they're not giving you any feedback? So you can start to kind of pry and pick at those doubts in their head, and you can actually have success and influence the situation. So make sure we're asking the three questions again, and then on the first follow-up is typically when we try to ask for the business. And what we do is we do a soft pitch at the business, right? Not a hard pitch. So a soft pitch is going to be like, hey, also, before I go, I just want to give you a heads up that if this ever becomes a pain in the neck for you, or if you're ever sick of doing this for sale by owner thing, I list all my properties at 4.5% so you can save some money, and I do day-to-day listing agreements. So if you don't like me, you can fire me. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you in a week. And what I'm doing is I'm just throwing it out there. They have to know that I can help them, and I want to help them, and what I can do. Because if you don't let people know, then what they're going to eventually think is that you've put yourself in the FSBO friend zone, right? And they're going to call you one day and say, hey, I listed it and I sold it, and thanks so much for your help. And they just think you're a really great person, right? And they don't know that you want to be more than friends with them, right? You want to be their realtor. And so if you aren't telling them what you can do and providing value to that person, they're not going to list with you. So you have to make that pitch. You have to tell them what you can do. But we want to do a soft pitch. I'm just letting them know what I can do, right? A hard pitch would be, if I could do day-to-day listing agreement, would you sign up today? That's a hard pitch. That's me trying to close them over the phone. It's uncomfortable, and it's very difficult unless you're a very skilled salesperson. So we want to try to ask for the business, let them know what we can do and that we want to help them, and then we leave it there and let them think about it. Because if you remember what we talked about in the Understanding the For Sale by Owner course, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. If they're not there yet mentally to list that house, no matter how great it is, I've offered to list properties for free and they weren't ready to hear it yet and they wouldn't list it with me. And then I've listed properties at 6% and it took me 4, 5, 6 weeks, but I was able to get them. So if they're not ready to hear it, they're not going to accept your offer. If they're ready, then they're going to jump all over. They're going to start asking questions, right? You're going to say, I can do 4.5 and I can do day to day. And they're going to say, what does that look like? Or what do you mean 4.5? Or what do you mean day to day? How does that look? And then you can start to jump into that conversation about how that works and what you can do for them. But we want to do this in a soft pitch manner and not necessarily a hard sell. And then each follow-up after that, we need to reiterate that point. Each follow-up, we're gonna build on our report, we're gonna ask our 3 questions, and we're gonna offer, we're gonna show them what we can do to them every single follow-up. Now you might follow up with someone for 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, and you're gonna feel like a broken record. And what else can I say? What else can I do? Very important, ask the same things, because that repetition is what's gonna wear them down and start asking you questions. And when you start answering questions for them, you start providing value, it starts to become easier for you to list that house for them. So we want to ask for the business every single time. Now understand, in any sales process, there's going to be multiple follow-ups required to capture this lead or to capture this listing. So just know it's going to be on average about 3 to 7 follow-ups. Now maybe it's 10, maybe you do it on the first one. We've seen people do both, but it's important to understand when you're following up, don't stop following up. Maybe they don't answer for 3 weeks. Maybe you have to leave a voicemail every week for 3 weeks, and maybe they answer on the 4th week and you list the property. If you're leaving voicemails every single week, that is your follow-up. Whether they're listening to them or deleting them, they're seeing that you're calling them and they know what you're calling them about. So until they tell you to stop calling me or I already sold it, you want to keep following up with that for sale by owner. And if you go to an appointment and you think, man, that guy was awkward and weird and we didn't connect at all and that was a terrible meeting, chances are he's awkward, or he or she is awkward and weird with everyone, and then no one else is going to want to follow up either. So if you're the only one following up, you're going to have more success in listing that property. So don't stop following up. If you do everything right, you do your call right, your appointment right, you follow up right, and then you do it for 2, 3 weeks, and then you stop following up, you're buttering that for sale by owner up for some other agent to come in and list that property out from under you. I don't know how many times I've seen people call 2, 3, 4 weeks and then stop for a week or 2 and then call them back and they listed with someone else because you moved them down that process for someone else to come in and list that property. So just know you're going to have to follow up for at least 3 to 7 weeks, maybe more depending on where they're at in their motivation and where they're at in their personal buying or selling process. So don't quit following up. Each call needs to be the exact same. There needs to be repetition. You need to build on your rapport, finish where you left off, ask if it's still available. We need to ask our 3 questions, and then we've got to tell them what we can do for them, offer the business, ask for the business, and we need to be consistent in our follow-up. On average, once you get good at these and understand the process, you should be able to convert about 30% of the listings that you go on. Might sound crazy, right? If I go on 100, I can list 30 properties. Yes, we've seen people do it. It's happened. So you should be able to convert approximately 30% of these once you understand the process, get really good at them. So at this point, you understand how to make the phone call, what to say during the appointment, how to properly follow up, what to say on the follow-up. Now you just got to go out, be consistent, and knock as many of these out as you can do. Good luck, guys.